Hi, this is Daniel with End Time Country Living, and on this video I want to give you guys an update on sowing lettuce seeds on the surface of your potting soil, and also to go over a new valve that I found that I think might be helpful for you. That's coming up. So if you saw in one of my other videos, I showed how to sow lettuce seeds on just by sprinkling them on the surface of the soil, and how that can actually be a benefit to the lettuce plants, and you get better germination, and you can kind of see which seeds are germinating and which ones aren't, so you don't have to wait too long to kind of see if you need to resow some cells or something like that. So I wanted to give you an update on that and show you kind of what that looks like now. So I'm in my greenhouse today. It's kind of a very cloudy day, maybe get some sprinkles. Looks like it's fairly dry, not too bad, but definitely overcast. And it's about 60 degrees out right now. It's a little bit after, it's my fake watch. Realized I didn't have it on, but it's probably about 1:15, 1:30 in the afternoon here. And I wanted to show you guys how this is working as far as keeping it warmer in here. So like I said, it's about 60 degrees outside, and have my thermometer here so it doesn't keep it kind of underneath the pots here, just so it doesn't have direct sun, because direct sun is going to give you an inaccurate reading of the actual air temperature. So this is showing here about 60. Well, this is showing about 65 now. I've had the door open a little bit. It was about 70 when I first got in here, but about 65 to 66, somewhere in there. It's not a terribly accurate thermometer to get the exact, but it's good enough for what I need. It also has this, main reason I got it is because it has a humidity gauge on here. So this allows me to make sure that it doesn't get too humid in here, and I can kind of vent it if it does. So it's showing about 60% humidity right now, which is pretty good. It's, that's very reasonable, and not overly humid in here. If it got up to be 80 or 90% humidity in here, then I know I need to do some venting of it. So this is the flat here that I seeded in the previous video. I think it was on a Friday. So it's been about 5 days since I seeded it. And this is the amount of growth that it's had in that period of time. It took I think about 3 days for them to really germinate. And then, they've had a little bit of growth the last couple days here. So you can see it's fairly well filled in. There's a couple of cells that haven't germinated, so some of those seeds are probably not viable, or they didn't get enough moisture on there. So it can be a little bit problematic on some of the germination on there. So that is one issue. But overall, I always seed more than I need anyway, because there's always some attrition in the plants where some will be real weak and not really viable, and others will be nice and strong. So I didn't do any top watering at all on that flat. I just did bottom watering. So I put 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch or so of water in the bottom, and it soaked it up and was able to moisten the soil at the surface level and cause the seeds to germinate. So it does work. One other thing I want to talk about is a new valve I got. So here was at the Wilco and found this guy here. So this is the card for it. It's put out by, the brand is Green Thumb. I looked it up, and it's, well, it actually says here on the back, by True Value Company. So it's manufactured for them and distributed by True Value Company. So some other company says made in China, but I'm not sure exactly the company that actually produced it, but that's how you find it underneath the Green Thumb brand there. So so this is the actual valve here, and I don't know if I showed you guys any of the other valves I had. I had a nice, I don't know if it's, well, I guess it's a water valve, but it's a nice brass one that has a nice big lever on it. Anyway, that one broke on me. Thought it was going to last me for the rest of my life, but it lasted about a season. Just because apparently I'd left it out when it got some freezing weather in there and had a little bit of water in there. Apparently I got a little crack. I turned it on and all of a sudden it started to squirt out the side. And so apparently it got damaged and I didn't even realize it. Couldn't really tell until I looked at it, and sure enough there was a crack on the side. So anyway, I had to get a replacement here, and saw this one. I was like, well, maybe give it a try. Yeah, it looked fairly decent. So this is kind of more of an aluminum construction, so it's not quite as sturdy. It has a nice rubber casing on here. Nice good size, and it has a nice big lever on here. It is plastic, so it's, you know, more of a low-cost one, but I think it'll be fairly solid here. We'll just have to give it a try and see, you know, have to be kind of careful with it and make sure I don't, you know, drop it on here and have this crack or something like that. We'll have to see if that's going to hold up or not. The other one that I've heard of but I haven't tried or got my hands on yet is the Dram brass valve. That one looks like it has some promise to it. Always look for ones with a large opening in there. So take this guy off here. So it comes with this other little attachment, this little hose, which I thought was kind of silly at first, but then I realized that it actually can be useful on this end. You could this could be used at the end of a faucet, so when you pull on the hose, it kind of, well, it's kind of stiff, so, but it does have a little bit more give on there, so it doesn't strain your hose bib quite so much. It has a little bit of a bend to it, sort of. It's not quite as flexible as I would like to see, but it also works on this end. If you put it on this end, it softens the flow, because if you, I'll have to show you guys outside here. I don't want to be spraying a bunch of water in the greenhouse here, but when the water comes out of here and you first turn it on, it's kind of really, you know, sprays out until you get it full on, and then it'll be fairly consistent. But it's not good for bottom watering or kind of watering your plants or things like that. You know, have this spray in the greenhouse or something like that, or other things. Kind of a mess. So what this does when you're watering your plants or something going around, you just want to, you know, turn it on and get, you know, have a little bit of water, kind of like a watering can pressure, you know, where it kind of comes out gently at first, and the more you put on it, but it's a solid stream, and that's what this does. It kind of makes a solid stream out of it, and you can see it's a restricted hose, so it's not going to be your full 5/8 diameter. It's going to be less than that, which looks like about a 1/2 inch hole on there, but it softens it. And this is actually a very decent little hose piece. It's brass on both ends, a solid, some kind of plastic material hose in there, but good brass fittings on each end. So even this piece, you know, is quite valuable. The whole thing was only about $11, so it's not too bad for a good valve. This part here is aluminum, so I'm a little bit concerned. Some of the teeth are not perfect already, and maybe a little bit boogered up. So I'm concerned about the longevity of the threads on here. The other end is actually brass. The threads in here are brass. Now, why they didn't put it on both ends, I'm sure they've got some cost savings on here. It would have been nice to see brass on this side too. It's a little bit stronger than aluminum. But anyway, this side's, you know, fairly sturdy. It's just a plastic collar around brass. Turns, obviously. Anyway, overall I'm pretty happy with the thing. But you can put this on here and you can go around and, you know, turn it on and, you know, add a little bit of water to the bottom of your pots. So anyway, I thought that was a thing that fits nicely in the hand. You know, and I can. Some of the other, I had another green thumb valve that I got that was all aluminum, full. I don't know what you want to call it, bore or something like that. You know, basically you get 5/8 inch all the way through. The ball valve in their opening is about 5/8 of an inch. This one too. This is full opening in here, so it's not restricted. Basically, always you look at the valve, and that's what you can't tell online because you can't see. Most of the times they don't show you down the throat of the thing, and you can't really see it in here because there's no light coming through. And I got water pressure on here now, so if I take it off, it could be a big pain. But anyway, through here, but it's full opening. That's why you look for things that are bigger, because the ball has to be bigger than the opening. If it's straight through, the same width all the way through as the threads, then that tells you that the opening where that ball spins around is got to be smaller than the rest of the pipe, and that's a restricted area. So that means your water flow pressure goes down every time you hit a restriction like that. So try to find. Since we're on well water here, we have our pressure tank. It isn't city water. City water, you can get away with all kinds of valves that are, small diameter stuff because you got, maybe 80 or 90 pounds of pressure. Here we have about, 60 or so like that pounds of pressure, and it's just, it's quite a bit less than, when you're in the city and have good high pressure. So you gotta have lots of. Got to think about the restrictions that you have on your hoses and valves and things like that. So anyway, this is got a good opening on here. A little bit of restriction, but not anything significant. It's interesting. It's kind of a hexagonal, or let's see here, hex six-sided little Allen wrench type thing. Now why they did that, I'm guessing it's so you can unscrew that thing or something. Or they put it to manufacture it. It's I'd like to see it as round and smooth, but nothing's perfect in this world, so make do with what it has. But anyway, so you could also use a water breaker on here. You could screw something right on there if you wanted to water your plants. Put that on there directly, and go over and do a top watering real fast over them, something like that. One of the things that I've been using to water the plants with is a watering wand, because what this does the same thing as this does. Basically, it has a. This is not quite as small a diameter inside. This is fairly good size. I'm not sure exactly the diameter, but it's not, it isn't 5/8. It's probably see 5/8, maybe half, I guess, half-inch, I guess, probably inside. Be the next level down. But it just going through a pipe like this allows it to smooth out the flow of the water. So this is what I've been using. On the end of the valve there. Turn on the valve, and by the time it comes out here, it's nice and smooth and isn't spraying all around or things like that. But the problem with this, which is why I recommend something like this, is the length is the problem. And for watering, you go over your whole things, top watering. Yeah, this is great. But when you're turning it on and off just for each little tray there, then you gotta wait for this thing to empty, because then you're dropping water all over the floor. Now I have plastic on the floor, which actually is kind of a problem. Landscape fabric that was permeable to water would actually be a better idea. But I already had this, and so I'm learning that puddles on the floor become a problem. So you gotta watch where you put the water. But this thing dumps a lot of water. This, once this is full and you turn the valve off, and this thing has gotta empty all the way out. So what are you going to do with all this water? You just dump it on the floor, or do you try to let it fill up? So that was one of the difficulties with that. But this does the same thing, but it doesn't have that issue. It's real short, so when you turn on the water, it flows, and you can shut it off, and that's it. There's no more water coming out of this thing. It's real short, so that's the beauty of that. So I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next video. Happy gardening. Bye-bye. This is the Ida Red branch that I grafted on. Graft point is, there it is right here. So there's the graft point. This is what I grafted on. So there's one bud, two buds, and here's the third. So this is grown out. And then on down out here. So this tip is broken off here. So it'll go out to the two different directions there.